Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison, Christe eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison.
Well, hello everyone. It is approximately 2:45 in the afternoon on Friday on the 28th, and I thought I was going to make it through the weekend without making a video, but life goes and throws some different things at you. And once again, today we are going to talk about the FBI. Now, in less than 6 weeks, we are going to have to go and to file our income taxes, which means we are going to have to pay our mandatory obligation. I believe it was Oliver Wendell Holmes, is that taxes are the price that we pay to live in a civilized society. And although that very well may be true, I think that myself and plenty of our fellow citizens are getting a little bit pissed off, for lack of a better term, when we go and we see our fellow citizens that are working supposedly as federal civil servants, basically going and telling lawful authority to, screw off. And the FBI, unfortunately, is getting this prize today. Now, for those of you who have not heard, the new Attorney General, the newly confirmed and presidential appointed Attorney General Pam Bondi, went and evidently sent a notice to Kash Patel, the newly confirmed by the Senate and also appointed by the president, a memo basically saying that she had asked for all of the evidence regarding the Jeffrey Epstein to be delivered to her. Well, evidently, the only thing that she got was approximately 200 pages of evidence. That's it. Now, evidently, and I will show later on, that we had documented evidence that there was clearly much more evidence that was directly related to this case and that somehow was not delivered to the office of the newly and duly appointed and confirmed Attorney General. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this amounts to basically insubordination. When you are given a lawful order by duly directed authority and you will not comply with that order or do not comply with that order without a suitable excuse or circumstances such as the evidence was washed away in a typhoon, you are committing insubordination. Basically, you are going and saying to your superior, your duly appointed superior, we're not going to comply. Have a nice day. Now, the next picture I'm going to show you is a person that was very near and dear to some people's hearts. This is the picture of Special Agent John O'Neill. John O'Neill served as a special agent at the FBI, specifically in counterterrorism. He died in 9/11. He was essentially forced out of the FBI because he was somewhat of an outsider. He didn't necessarily play by the rules, and as a result of that, he was forced out. His first job after leaving the FBI was as director of security for the World Trade Center. Evidently, it paid a very good salary, and John was from New Jersey. It allowed him to stay in New York. And John O'Neill had a reputation of being a well-dressed agent. He did not look like the typical agent that wore secondhand suits. I mean, some people regarded him as, quote unquote, a dandy. But John O'Neill was also very, very good at his job. And he was so good at his job that he had predicted that the World Trade Center was going to get hit, and it was going to get hit by Al-Qaeda, headed by that time by Osama bin Laden. So when we go and we look now, as we fast forward in the Epstein case, And again, this next picture is used strictly for illustrative purposes. This is the FBI going and carrying out evidence from a joint terrorist task force in 2003. See, they're not just carrying out one or two files, they're carrying out box loads of evidence. Box loads. And the problem is that that is exactly the sort of evidence that Attorney General Bondi was asking for. She wanted everything, every bit of evidence that had been collected on the Jeffrey Epstein case to be delivered to her personally. Now, initially, as we said, she only got 200 pages of evidence. However, in the following videotape, and it's not my own, I'm not taking any sort of credit for it, but it is duly noted and annotated. This is the way that the FBI was reacting, and this evidence was taken by a drone operator, and see the difference in terms of what's going on.
The images are silent, shot by a drone, posted on YouTube, and oddly mesmerizing. It's Jeffrey Epstein's private island in the Caribbean, a place seemingly befitting any self-proclaimed billionaire, but in this case, one who was also a convicted sex offender, facing fresh sex crime charges when he apparently killed himself early Saturday in a jail cell in New York. This island, say his accusers, was where young girls were brought from around the world to be used as sex slaves. Look closely and you'll see New York police and FBI agents raiding the place yesterday. Seen clearly through the window, computers packed in red bubble wrap, ready to go, evidence freshly gathered, underlining the investigation into Epstein's world is far from over. As the lawyer for two of the women accusing Epstein told CBC News this morning, the number of Epstein's accusers is still growing.
We've been hearing from more every day, and my team and I have been reviewing their cases, reviewing their evidence, their witnesses, vetting, the whole process we go through in every case.
At the New York jail where Epstein reportedly hanged himself, 2 guards were today put on leave and the warden replaced in response to the death. But meanwhile, conspiracy theories live on. With word today, Epstein's death first came out, mysteriously enough, on 4chan, an online message board known for right-wing internet trolls. Then there's Donald Trump, seen here with Epstein in '92, who on the weekend retweeted the baseless suggestion Bill Clinton may have been involved in Epstein's demise. Today, he chose to emphasize Clinton flew on Epstein's private jet more than 24 times.
So you have to ask, did Bill Clinton go to the island? That's the question. If you find that out, you're going to know a lot.
And so on all of that and more, they search. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Okay, so what are we seeing here? We are seeing 2 separate jurisdictions, one state, or really local, the NYPD. It looked like there was no evidence that there were New York State troopers there. So you have 2 jurisdictions, one local, the NYPD, and one federal, the FBI. And they are hitting upon a treasure trove of evidence. So it just begs the question to say, why, upon a deliberate order from the Attorney General, she wrote what she wanted. It is written in paper. She passed it on. Now, she's not holding cash personally responsible because he wasn't confirmed at that time, but he is now the director of the FBI. So why does this seem like such a big deal to go and to comply with? And again, I served 5 years in the United States Air Force Security Police, okay? All I know is this, is that if I got a duly executed order from my group commander, who was a full-bird colonel, and I was at best a captain at the time, and it says, I want all the files relating to this specific matter, and it's to be brought to my office, which, oh, by the way, is 50 yards down the hallway in this hangar, I would have no excuse to say, no, sir, I'm sorry, I can't comply with that, unless someone else had got to the files beforehand and I physically could not find them. But then again, it's not on me. I tried to comply with that order. So, and again, I think that what I'm going to present to you is almost childish in its reasoning, but realistically, it needs to be done. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to momentarily appoint myself as the FBI director. Okay, this is one of the FBI jets that they use. This is also part of the jet chain that Christopher Wray used, and now there are questions being called about his extensive use of FBI jets. But that's another story for another day. All I'm saying is this. There are going to be two people on this. Well, no, not two. I would probably say maybe six. It's going to be AG Bondi, but then again, I'm sure she's got a security team that's with her. Kash Patel as the director, I'm sure he's going to have a contingent. So let's say there's a total of 10 people on there. Okay. So you got the AG, you got the FBI director, and their respective security contingents. What they're going to do is they're going to fly up to New York without telling New York that they're on their way. And once they land, they're going to make sure that they're going to have cars available for them. They're going to go to the FBI office. They're going to go right into the main conference room, because I doubt that they need credentials to get in the building. I think that they can be waved on in. And here's what's going to happen. And this is a stock photo. But I would go in, speaking for the Attorney General, I would read the letter in its entirety, and then I would ask the head of the New York office, the special agent in charge, I would ask him for their badge and their credentials and their gun, their credentials and their gun, basically. And once I slide them over, I'm going to tell them this. Either your people have this already gathered up and ready to go so that we can box it up and we can put it back on the plane and take it with us, or you're fired. Are you ready? Well, we didn't know you were coming. No. You knew I was coming because I had already, this is the second time we've gotten this letter. You've already received it. Are you ready or not? No, you're fired. Bring in the second in command. Again, you ask for their credentials and their gun, and you read the letter, the whole thing, and you just keep on going until someone says, yes, we're ready to go. Trust me. I think that the insanity is this, is that as taxpayers, we don't get the chance to be shown the door when we don't comply with someone. This is a picture of Boris Yeltsin when he's leaving number 10 Downing Street, but I just thought it was apropos, okay? When you get shown the door because you've screwed up, okay, we're going to hold the door open for you, but then we're going to close it on you. And I think it's the same thing right now. I think the American citizens are sick and tired. Truly, they are sick and tired of being told by their government that they must comply on some sort of message or, whatever. I mean, if you've ever been audited by the IRS, if you've ever, been served with a legal subpoena or something like that, the essence, the full force of the government, and that's where the judiciary has to come in. The judiciary is the only power left that can take off of the full force of government away from you if you've been declared innocent in some sort of action. That's why, the OJ verdict was so, people had, excuse the expression, but, they had OJ dead to rights. Well, a jury of his peers thought differently. And at that point, when he was declared innocent, the full weight of the authority had to be lifted from him. It's the same thing here. And I think American citizens are just getting fed up, truly fed up with their government being oppressive to them to the point of really, and I hate to use those words, so we'll just say an overly oppressive government. Because you as a citizen, you're going to get crushed. You are going to get crushed. You are like being set up in the middle of a road paver, and if they move forward and God forbid, you're going to be looking flatter than a pancake on the way out. And I think the fact that they are so brazen, and I put the full responsibility upon the special agent in charge of that New York office. That's his show. And the dichotomy, and I don't know this as primary, but I know this from secondary, is that the regard that Washington and New York, they've had this natural animosity for years. It was almost kind of like, and it goes back to, what I talked about with Mr. or Special Agent O'Neill. The fact of the matter is that John was a workaholic, but he had a different way of doing things. And to the Washington establishment, he was too flashy. But the New York guys only tolerated him because he was a really good special agent. But the fact of the matter is that, it's kind of like, you want to be in the bureaucracy, go to D.C. You can do an entire career there. But if you want to be at the center of the action, and clearly after what happened with 9/11, when counterterrorism became a whole new thing, I mean, obviously, if you wanted to be at the center of the action, you came to New York. You don't want to go to St. Louis, or Dubuque or even Atlanta compared to New York. What are you, crazy? I mean, everything happens in New York. So, good upon them. If they are the showcase for operational excellence for the FBI, have at it. I'll pin the medal on them myself. But the one thing that as American taxpayers we will not tolerate anymore is insubordination. And if you are being insubordinate within your own chain of command, okay, you have the president that appoints the attorney general, that in turn goes and appoints and approves the director of the FBI, and you fall under the director of the FBI, you ain't the president of the United States, okay? You are within that. And therefore, the chain of command must be respected. And if you will not respect that chain of command, you got to go. You got to go. Sorry. It's not going to happen. I don't care how good you are. The moment that you say, remember, non serviam, I will not serve. The moment that comes out of your mouth in either English or in the Latin, or in your actions, which in this case, you're not doing what you have been clearly instructed to do, you're out of here. You're out of here. Take whatever you have for your pension. We're done. Thank you for your service, but we're done. And I think at this point, it just tightens my jaws. So where we are right now is supposedly all of that evidence that the AG has requested is supposed to be in her office by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, which means they need to be going and moving that stuff like right now. Either it's going to be trucked down or flown down or whatever. But I hope that she has a press conference in her conference room at Justice. Bring in everybody and say, folks, it's 8 o'clock. And this is what I've been delivered. This is what they tell me is all the evidence in there. And then at that point, if you haven't already, you need to fire the SAC in charge. You probably need to fire his deputy. You probably need to fire the special agent in charge of evidence. And however low you got to go, I don't care if you got to go down to the stock boy that goes and services that evidence room. All of them have got to go. They're out of here. We're done. And at that point, then you name an interim SAC that's going to take over New York. And then you issue another memorandum to that entire office and basically go and say that if I even hear of another whiff of an insubordinate action coming out of this office, heads are going to roll. And at some point, I think the president needs to make a personal visit to that office. And I think he needs to go and show the flag. And it's not going to be nice. If you got to bring the commander-in-chief into your FBI field office, buddy, your ass is grass. And he's going to play lawnmower. But if that's what needs to be done, to reassert the lawful chain of custody, so be it. Presidents can go and fire generals when they go and they're considered disruptive to the civilian military control. I see this as being no different, because the FBI, for all practical purposes, is a quasi-military organization. Many of the same tenets that they hold dear, so do the military. So why not bring the commander-in-chief in that exact same capacity and basically say, first of all, you all work for me and I work for the American people, which means we all work for the American people. And the American people have had enough. Either you're going to comply going forward or you're out of here. And oh, by the way, you've got an hour to make that decision, because I'm going to start collecting resignations real soon. And just do it. Bring the HR people with them. Have them process, like they do ever. Okay, fine. You're done. Here's what your pension is worth. Here are your benefits in there. Thank you for your service. You're gone. And again, you take the credentials, you take the badge, you take the guns, boom. I think we have gotten to this point. We are just sick and tired of playing nice anymore. Now, you want it the easy way or the hard way. Okay? The easy way was complying with the AG's request. You elected not to go that way. Now it's the hard way. So, folks, sorry to disturb your Friday, but I just felt it was that important. And let's see what happens tomorrow. I think tomorrow is going to be, my personal bet, some people are getting fired. But by Monday morning, some people are going to be fired. And it's going to be on the morning news. Watch George Stephanopoulos or Fox and Friends, whatever your morning outlet is on Monday morning. Folks, that's it. We're done. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you in a bit.